Okay, well, let's start up. Yeah, you have many questions, I'm sure, so... Any questions before we choose characters?
This is more of a technical thing, but I'm looking at the ship sheet. Is that
That is a
what I'm supposed
shared
to be looking
sheet that you all
at? Right.
share that acts like a group template. It also, you use all of them, all this stuff together. So you have different systems that are used together, and they're put into different sections. I'll explain it a little more when we get to that. But your flag is kind of what you do. Your ship tactics and away tactics gave you different either ship systems or gave you the different equipment you see listed on it, which you already have on your character sheet. It also says who your patron society is and who your patron commissionaire was. And that's kind of like your handler.
Ah,
Does that explain what you're asking? I didn't let you
yes.
finish, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
So essentially, the patron society is one that owns the ship. We're just sort of running it for them.
Kind of. It's. They want you to be independent, so they can say, "We didn't have anything to do with that contract. It must have been a client." Right? But they still. They basically. What happened during the Exploration Wars was the idea of the Free Spacer was put out by a group called UTMAR, United Martian Triax Republic, who's now called the Oath Alliance, or in another quadrant they're called the Crimson Imperium. Anyways, they invented this idea of independent ships that were super flexible. Your ships are way more flexible than most people's. Most people can't do all this calibration hoo-ha. It's a gun, it's a tractor beam, it's a tractor beam. They have a different stealth, all that sort of stuff. It works the same way, but it's cheaper and easier to run. They're like, what if we just amped up the ether tech, which is the name of the technology, made these super flexible things, and let them just go in there, harass things, do these tight little missions, and they'd be totally deniable, and we'd be able to... They're even easier to salvage your ships and stuff. And it worked really, really well. They recruited them with a couple ways. One is called anagathics, which basically means none of you age. After about 100, 200 years, you will rebirth automatically, which wasn't originally part of the design for anagathics, but started happening. Basically, your regeneration goes out of control, but you don't age anymore. It makes you very good at, being in space. Some people suggested it may have screwed up future evolution, but most of the people who are mortal don't really give a shit. So... basically, citizens and those rewarded by becoming free spacers and stuff are anagas. I know Ray
work
didn't get
for
a
us
lot.
and you'll never die.
Exactly. So they recruited way more. They could bring back their people a lot. The Alliance basically managed to beat up Old Gold that way, and part of it even went off and conquered a whole other quadrant where the Cordon, which if any of you choose the pilot, is from. Although he's a member of the flotilla, he wasn't really part of the Bennu sovereignty. So actually, they got beat so bad that a huge chunk of them moved to the Orion Quadrant, and they actually have a whole province here that they run under their original name. So, anyways, characters. Let's choose characters. We have Charlie Eaton, sensor analyst, broker. All around talky good guy, a little greedy.
I would take Charlie.
Okay. I will assign him to you. That was Brian, right?
Yeah.
Just double checking. There you go, Brian. You don't have to shout out right away unless you're really excited. Got Carter Cade. He's a Martian. Martians are pretty much humans modified for Mars and have become an entire other species. They're shorter, kind of a brown color usually. They range like humans do, but they range in a darker tone and kind of reddish. They're kind of short, squat. They run in a whole other society. They kind of... Yeah.
If you're going for, this is just sort of a thing on the race, if you're going for, like, like them being fitted for Mars, you would think they would be taller due to the lack of gravity.
Well, they're shorter than current humans who have been modified for space.
Right.
But it was a heat issue that made them decide, and also transport issue, because it's basically a group that was modified based on the original settlers, so their ceiling heights were an issue. So they realized if they went with a 6-foot ceiling, they could save a lot of money on quality and shipping. So you got Carter Cade. She or he is a Martian astronavigator and mechanic. Mechanics basically means you're good at fixing archaic things like doors and engines and mining and that sort of stuff. Well, mining is geosciences, but you got geosciences. Okay, next we have a character I call Nash. You can change these names, just tell me how you change them. That is your cordon pilot, EVA specialist, member of the flotilla. Flotilla is a huge fleet of ships that just kind of wanders around space with who knows what they want. Yeah, so for flotilla, background as a soldier. Who knows how he ended up with flotilla? Maybe he was a deserter or something. Like all cordon males, he has brightly colored feathers and is basically a big raptor with arm wings. I don't know if you can see this. No, you cannot. It's too invisible. Anyways, so much for that. We're getting new art anyways, so. Next we have Reznor 8. I know this is a popular character, so. Shield mechanic, researcher, basically means he's really good online, good at defense. Reznor, it has no gender like the rest of his species. They breed by budding. And basically think alien gray meets mushroom carnivore. And then finally you have Zerlito, male Atoli, camouflage kind of skin, weapons officer, gonna be really good with guns, good with their tractor pistols, got 3 points in that actually, that's pretty high. And actually from the Golden Duchy, so he comes from the other side. Any choices?
Let's see. I'm thinking maybe Carter Cade. For me.
Okay.
Okay, if he takes that, I'll take the mushroom man.
Ha.
I'll go with Zerlito, I guess.
Okay. So Reznor 8, you can change these names. I came up with kind of stereotypical names. Who was it that had Reznor, our local Gavorn, mushroom dude?
I will.
Who did? Okay. Sorry, I can't see your face, and I just hear sounds. I'm like, who's at that? I'm looking at the sheet. Okay. You have Reznor, and the last one was Zerlito.
Yep. Ray.
Someone likes to shoot things. Okay.
Carter Cade actually has 3 dots in their tractor pistol as well.
Yes. Well, it's also used for mechanics, so.
True. True.
Yeah, often awesome overlap with I can shoot people and fix the door. Hey, fixing
I'm
doors is
basically the
important.
medic.
Yes, actually, I've had one of the more popular characters. So one time we had an EDA weapons officer, ship's doctor. So you were a giant trunked, knuckle walking doctor who also shot people a lot. So you could shoot them and then fix them. People always like that
reminds me of Morden from Mass Effect a little bit.
There you go. Okay, so where do we want to start? We can start big. This is where you are. That is what a sector map looks like in this game. It's a fold map, so it's a big concentric circle. The very bottom is the easiest place to go.
I don't think we're seeing what you're talking about.
And
Yeah,
I
we're
just
just-
went there and
yeah.
forgot to send you. There we go. That's what I meant to do.
There we go.
I'm new to Roll20. There we go. So, as you can see in the upper right-hand corner, Weston, that's where you're going to be. It is... You notice each of the... If you notice, you got these symbols on here. In each corner, you get a little legend. And that's actually for that part of the cone. So what you're looking at is a big cone. There's storms and stuff. I'm going to start you in system, but I just thought I'd show you guys this. And so you kind of had a bigger idea. Each of these sectors is one of square on a very similar map for the sector, for the entire quadrant. This is, if you played the game as a GM, you would make up one of these of your own and place it on the quadrant map for the entire game. So it kind of gives you the outer world to, you know, brace your stuff in, but then you have all the power over your campaign to build your own planets and areas and conflicts that you want. Your own factions and everything like that. Okay, so...
What are the shaded areas?
Think of those as like warp storms and stuff. They're areas that are harder to get through. You have to do special tasks to get through them each time you get to them, and the darker shaded they are, the harder that is. You tend to just go around them to avoid, you know, being knocked out into
They're
real
hazards,
space.
essentially.
Hmm?
They're hazards, essentially.
They are. Basically, moving on this moves slightly differently than most. It's based on your destination location plus where in real space you left. You have to get to the rim of a sector or rim of a system to leave it, and you always arrive at the middle, at the heaviest gravity area. Okay, so this doesn't entirely matter, but it just kind of gives you a little context.
Are the different symbols that's like the controlling power of those systems or something?
Those are the different cores of them. So Primus Nazarius, that is a symbol for singularity or black hole. So when you go to that system, that's what you're going to be orbiting around. Weston, that is a main sequence star. Faso, right below that, is a giant star. And then the ones that look like doubles, those are multiple stars between 2 and up to like 8. And if you notice the weird eye thing, that's a nebula. So, the small version of what you would call a local nebula, not the ones that are actually galaxies. They use the same word, but it's a different thing. Anyways, let's get to other things. Okay, so what should I show you first? I'll show you. This is the system you're going to be in. This is a system map. I'm going to start you directly in Planetfall already. Have mating contact. We're going to just try to get right into the action. And, but this is where you are, so you know when you're running away and I suddenly show you this map, you'll know what the hell's going on. So up at the top, you'll see that is the map of all of it, with the top half will be the planets, and the bottom half, those are all the satellites. You are actually going to Verona, which is a silicate planet orbiting Weston, which is a gas planetar, very, very large planet. C. So you're going to C. I keep moving it. C3. That's it, right there. So that's the map. You have a yellow star to deal with. It is main sequence, so we're talking a lot like our star. The planet you're coming to, I will tell you information on that. It's a little bigger than Earth, and it's actually a satellite of a giant, massive, larger than Jupiter planet, which will take up much of the sky.
So, is our little group here, are we bounty hunters, or?
You are technically bounty hunters. I will tell you about your core mission right now, and you can tell me how you negotiated that contract, and we can roll some dice. Because dice rolling is always fun. Okay, so you were contacted by the Montar family, or the House Montar. They're an exiled house that had basically been exiled to a local moon of their own system. They can't go back to Verona legally. They want you to smuggle Antonia Montar in to do some sales meetings with a mafia. And they want you to protect her, and they want you to bring her back. They just want you to take her there, protect her, and get her back. Get her out without getting caught. They don't want you to, they don't want her contact Don Sarnio to get caught either. So that's what you're seeing there. Those are your terms. You can add terms to it. Either way, all of these have to be paid for with the reserve, and you generate the reserve by doing different tasks. So we can go over that right now a little bit, but I will give a little, why don't I describe the situation and we can flash back to this contract.
Is that a different page, the contract?
I'll put you on it, yes. I keep just going to them myself. Yeah, just wave if I'm leaving you behind.
Who's Don Sarnio?
Don Sarnio is a Don of a crime family in Star City. So let's talk about the sorts of tasks you did there. So I was going to do this as a flashback, but we're just doing it this way because I showed you the contracts. Man, you get very distracted with Roll20. I need to get a blank page for it, eh? Anyways, so you were contacted by this group via Alice contacted you. She's your patron commissionaire. She's your bounty. She gets you bounties and does other sorts of contracts. And she got a message that the Montar family in Weston needed an escort. People who could be trusted to do this. So they went all the way and hired free spacers. They didn't just try to do it on their own. And they brought you in. And you negotiated a contract with them to do this mission. So there's a lot of different the way a project works. This is a type of project called negotiation. And you do a bunch of tasks called prep tasks, and then one primary task for negotiation. And then all those numbers are added to the reserve, and I give you some information based on what you do, and we talk about what happens. And if you fail, it can get interrupted and lead to trouble, and we can just have to do an encounter for that. And then all the points are taken there, and then you use those to, you spend 3 points to buy this initial contract, and then you add more points to increase the residual value rewards of your obligations. Add new obligations, add new assets. You guys obviously won't know the asset list, but this is basically a pretty good example of the sort of thing you would have. I've already given you some of the stuff I thought you might want or ask for anyways, so just to make it a little easier for the first game. So the types of stuff you can do for a contract are like common knowledge things to try to remember what's going on, basic things like that. That would be using your like communication skill and your association of the type. Like, what do you know? That's technical knowledge. If technical knowledge of some sort comes up, like we start talking about a certain type of animal, you can roll like biosciences, or we start talking about like a weapon that's being used, you can roll weapons, that sort of thing. You do a research task, that's a good first choice to kind of give you guys information so you can help you come up with more. Each of you get to do one task, so that would help you come up with tasks for the other people to do. Bargaining, this is almost always a good choice for your primary task that's done last. And then, or networking, which basically means bringing in someone else to do it for you, or like socialization, you take the charming route. Okay, so all tasks in a contract use the same difficulty, but you can get advantage or disadvantage can increase those. If you guys can see your character sheets, you could probably look at what you're good at. So somebody with a good interface might want to do a research task to try to figure out what sort of other things you could have done when you negotiated this contract.
All right, one question. Which way do the dots go? Does it more or less, like, which direction means better?
So,
I think I missed that.
you've got your training dots, your augmentation dots, and your expertise dots. Normally it'd be better if they filled in. I'm going to replace them with check marks, probably. It makes it a little weird right now. But basically training is one block, so if you have it in the second one, you get 2 dice. So you're better at things that are higher on the training, but you also have to add any augmentation. That's your right now that would be just your natural aptitude of your species. And then expertise, that's things that's given to you by your ship in a way station.
And to answer your question, it moves to the right. So third to the right means.
So the more right, the better you are.
Yeah. For the training.
That makes a lot.
It's because they're different columns, but I couldn't put column markers like I did on the actual sheet, which makes things harder.
I was just wondering. I didn't know if, like, the one, if you went to the left, if it was weaker, or if it was stronger going to the right. I see now.
Yeah. I tried to do it the logical way, but
Well, sometimes some people don't.
yeah,
It's different each one.
So you can notice. We'll talk about skills a little bit right now. You have your skills separated into skill sets. Tactical, environmental, social, engineering. You're probably, if someone's good at interface, they could be able to do a research task. So Reznor, that's probably, you're pretty good at interface. You have 4 dice in that.
Mm-hmm.
All
right.
Do you want to try that?
Sure.
Okay, so what you need to do is click Perform Task.
Perform task. Let me see. Where is that?
Okay. So you gotta everybody make sure that they have show macro quick bar clicked in their settings.
Okay, let me see. Okay, there we go.
I'm actually not seeing anything. It popped up where it should be, but there's nothing there. Oh, hold on. Now it's there.
I see perform task. Okay.
Might just be a delay or
Perform
something.
task.
No, I just didn't tick the perform task in bar thing. So.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta show the macro quick bar. Okay, so Reznor 8, if that's the name you're using.
Mm.
What we're looking at here is your character sheet. So you want to do a research task. So the data flow is like this. You basically carry the internet on you at all times.
Oh, great.
It is
Me, Google.
well, everybody does, right? So you have this whole little data flow network. Basically, within a certain range, you can see other people's like Wi-Fi hooks, and you can send them info. So within a certain range, your whole group. Outside that, you have to spend more to do tachyon, but you can send to everybody, and you have a clone of the entire data flow on you. And the reason you have that is that's how information travels. Because there is no multi-system communication system, because that's kind of impossible. So tachyon range is a system. So within a system, you have instant communications, but outside a system, you don't have any. Kind of like Traveler and other games of that ilk. Once you're in a system, you're on your own. And then when people fold in and out, and a lot of systems have gates and stuff, so there'll be a lot of folding in and out. That's how it gets transmitted. So basically, you carrying around the entire data flow that is updated on SourceSafe. If you're any of these programmers in the house, you know that's a funny joke. Anyways, so to roll this, you have to look at how many task dice you're going to get.
So that would be 4. I see 3 dots and then 1.
So
what is that?
You get 3 for your training and interface, 1 for your expertise and interface. So yes, 4 dice. But you get to use your link, because your link is like your computer, right? It's your data flow device.
And I'm guessing that's 2 dice?
Well, technically you have to calibrate, but data flow, as you can see, if it's in the first column, it's free.
All right.
So you're good on this front.
Right.
Sorry. You can do all that stuff for free. You don't need Tachyon because really you're just searching your own clone of the data flow you're carrying with you.
Right.
So you get to use both those dice. That means you get 6 dice.
All right.
So under task dice, put the number 6.
Okay. Submit it. Or is there any bonuses that need to be going in there?
Okay, so you can come up with all sorts of bonuses based on the situation. Like, wouldn't be things on your character sheet. You'd have circumstantial advantages. The different types of advantages that are very common are the feature of your tools. You already got that. A resource you could use. You don't have any power in your reactor right now, so you can't use that. Circumstantial resources or advantage. None of these are really particularly applicable right now because we're doing a project. We're kind of working in a void. You got a lot of dice, so it's not that big of a deal. The next one is called coordination. Helping in the game works by every round happens simultaneously in a normal encounter. And so if you want to support somebody, if you want your task to help them, and you're like, say you're flying really fancy so the guy can shoot really well, if you're successful with that task, they get an advantage if they go after you in the same round.
Right.
You can also do routine tasks that would help them. I give him a boost. That's not difficult, so he just gets that die. But you have to go after the person, so it's like a cascading. I give him help. His shot did well in such a way that it would help this other person shoot this, so the blah, 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 blah. So that kind of it allows you to concentrate on a single target because every attack technically coordinates with the next, so each of you get advantage. That sort of thing. And advantage is an extra die. And finally, states. If you're in stealth, you're going to get an advantage to attack. Simple. Those are the different types of advantages we have in the game. That will be built into the rolling system someday. When I get around to it. Okay, so
I'm getting 6 task dice then.
Yes, and the difficulty, as this is your first contract, is 3. Super easy. Let's roll those dice.
This is more on the Roll20. So after the task dice, I hit submit.
Yep.
Is there something else after that, or?
There will be, yes.
Okay. I haven't used Roll20 before.
That's totally fine.
So threat dice would be 3?
Threat dice is 3, yes. Threat dice is combination of the difficulty and any disadvantage, and it's reduced by reduction, and also there's certain things that it can increase it, like ambitious tasks and stuff, but we'll talk about those later. It's kind of slightly more advanced. So just put 3 in there and press roll, and we'll all find out what happens.
Let's see.
Oh, you did badly.
Oh, great.
Awesome sauce. That is good for me. Okay.
So, is a 6 a success then, or?
Okay, so what you're looking at on these dice are 6 and up is a success on a 10-sided die. A 10 is 0 on your die. You can turn on your virtual dice if you want. Would be a double. It's called a decisive hit. It gives you 2 successes. And then you have a set of threat dice that can give you misses for 3s and under. There's no decisive miss. So what you see here is 5, not enough, 5, not enough, 3, not enough, 5, not enough, 3, not enough, 7, that's enough. But then you have a 3 and a 1. That's -1.
Yeah, I got it now.
So... Oh, that is way too small. I am tracking my complications now. So let's make that a big number. I'll have to move that around somehow. I think I can copy between pages, so it's not a big deal. You guys are seeing the contract, right? Yes, you are.
Yes.
Yay! Okay,
Indeed.
so just for failing like that, you gave 1 to complications. Now, you can do absolutely nothing, or during projects, you can compensate for your horrible failure by adding to complications. And then you can take those same points and put them in your reserve. I can use complications later to hurt you, but hey, right now during this project, it's going to be real helpful not to have rolled a -1.
Right. It's good to start off on a positive note.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, with the negative, even during projects, often I will have, if I had enough points, I could up that to a -3. And -3s, you get kind of a twist. Now, I can't do this because it's the very first roll. I don't have any complications. But as the game goes forward, complications stay from episode to episode. So the number can get large, it can get small. Usually it isn't 0, but usually it ends up...
Whether you want to screw us or not.
Yeah, usually huddles around 5. But I let you guys... I had Umdine... Resnor 8 help me out. So... Resnor, you can, are you going to compensate for this and add to this, to the reserve, or are you just not helping out on this project? Just so I can tell you what happens with your research, you have to tell me whether or not you're compensating or not.
You should compensate.
Yeah, do it.
Let's compensate.
Okay. So, 3, the game basically has oh, I just changed this, so let me double check. It has a 6-point outcome system. There is consequences, which are -3. That's where something unintended happened. Complications, which is any negative. That adds to complications. Undermine, which is kind of an in-between, is where you get 0. Partial, where you get 1, 2, below your armor threshold if it's an attack, or below 3. 3, which is your intended outcome. That's what you want. Or criticals, which are above 3. So in projects, you can up that all the way to a 3, which is like the standard success. It's your intended success.
Right.
So let's say you're going to do that, because that sounds like what you guys wanted. Am I right or wrong?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome. So now you have 3 in your reserve. Okay, so you go on the data flow and you're doing a bunch of research, and you have a terrible Google flu time.
Damn firewalls!
Yeah, but you figure it out. You find out a lot of the history and stuff about the Weston system. The Weston system is run by a group of grand houses. That's what they call themselves, because they have great names. Some of them are grand houses. There are some more minor houses, and the main grand house. Sorry, I turned. Is called the Grand House Alliance. They run things. They're basically much the government of. The main planet is called Verona, and it is divided into 5 provinces, each which has basically a big plantation on it and a lot of extra land. The land is done over with ranching. There's this large creature that's described in your research as, pretty much picture it as a giraffe meets a bighorn steer. So it's got a massive body, tall neck. They're kind of a yellow color. They have these pinkish spots, and they basically range all over Verona. Right around the end of the Exploration Wars, the House Montar was exiled. And they were exiled over their position on the war, backbiting by House Loreno, which is a secondary house, supposed to be very competitive with Alinus, and they were basically kicked out. They didn't go far, they just went to a nearby moon, which is the place that you're picking up Antonio Montar. And actually, we're just going to call this play that you picked her up there. Sorry. I live near a bridge. Motorcycles are loud. And that's pretty much what you find out. You find out a political situation. They're kind of unheard of. There's lots of political tension between the different houses. and the Montar's original plantation location is now called Star City. It is used as the public visiting area and is a little more beat up because of it. There's several rants out there on the data flow from Montar supporters who are complaining about this destruction of their great old plantation. The place speaks mostly Spanish, although there's a large Italian community as well, and Interchat, of course, is the common language. Okay, so does that give anybody any ideas on sort of thing that they could do? You can do all sorts of things, from analyzing the animals, finding about the political situation more in depth, learning about Star City itself. You know Don Sarnio exists. Oh, and you also find out that Don Sarnio, there's a couple things about some of the people. They've been trying to hunt him down for years. He's a mob boss. Some people of the Sarnio mob have gone to prison. Some have been executed. But Sarnio is an upstanding citizen who's never had any problems with the law whatsoever, despite their efforts to make it so.
At least that we can tell.
Is it possible for Zerlato to find out more about what kind of, what kind of trouble they could get into if they get into trouble, as far as like how many people, what weapons they'd have, stuff like that?
Okay. Yeah, you could find out all about the current political situation on the ground and the laws and stuff. That would be a politic task. And that would be using your associations. You could spend some bond on it, or borrow some bond on it if you wish, but it would be working on your CMA because it is a CMA place. So your dice would be your training in politic, which is 3 dice, plus 1 from the CMA, that would be 4 dice, and then you can borrow some bond if you wish, or you can just leave it like that.
What's the CMA again?
Colonial Merchants Association is it is the cardinal society of the quadrant. They have the center society of the quadrant, and they want to run everything. But unlike other quadrants, award is totally just ended here, and they didn't win entirely because their allies run most of the provinces outside that. So you're talking like a weak cardinal society with powerful provinces basically vying for power. That is pretty much the situation in the quadrant itself. There's basically a Cold War going on, and free spacers have been taken from being warriors to being undercover warriors now. So
I see. And that is represented with dice, the relationship that we have with them, I guess.
yes, these are your associations with them. Picture this as just your understanding with that society, your understanding of that society, the number of Facebook groups you belong to, all that stuff all wrapped up into one abstract thing. It's your relationship with the society and all of the different factions within that society. On the regular sheet, there's actually faction slots below these that you can fill out for factions that you have relations with specifically. They don't have their own points. They're just ones that to help me out as a GM. So when you deal with it, you are actually dealing with a certain faction's representative of that sort of thing, right? So let's roll those dice. Do you want to spend some bond, or borrow some bond? Sorry, Umden, I keep interrupting you.
I don't know more about.
Oh, you did roll. Oh no, you rolled. Who was talking, sorry? Originally? It was Ray, right? Oh, he's dropped out. Can you rejoin, Ray? Oop, there he goes.
That was just it catching up with the fact that he's gone.
Yeah, we didn't notice. I just kept talking away. Blah, blah, blah.
There was no way to tell, I think.
Yeah. I think this is one of the reasons a lot of people seem to use Skype on the streaming, but I see them drop out all the time too. So. At least I guess you're not dropping out simultaneously, right? You have one drop out while the other doesn't.
I am back.
Hey Ray, so what did you hear?
I heard the explanation about the CMA, like, you know, how it's like the score and how that worked, and then everything got fuzzy.
Okay, so yes, the CMA is the man. They used to be just big merchants association out of Sol System and always fighting with the Martians, and now they run everything.
So how do I make this roll?
Okay, so if you have, do you have your macro quick bar running?
Yes.
Okay, so you have perform task. Click perform task.
Yes.
Okay, so when it asks for task dice, you are putting 3 in to represent your training in politic. You're putting 1 more, so that's 4 for your merchants, for your association with the CMA. And if you want, you can borrow from your bond. So if you're going to borrow from your bond, increase your bond by 1 and add to that to make a total of 5 dice.
So it's not 3 plus 4?
It's 3 plus your single point in CMA plus 1 point that you're borrowing from your bond by increasing it to 4. The bond is a borrow thing. The higher it gets, the more your outside life is intruding on the game. I can't see you nod, Ray, so you have to talk.
Right. Sorry, I'm looking for the bond on the sheet.
It's right at the bottom, right under association. If you scroll down on the sheet below all the languages.
I see it.
Yeah, so maybe I'll move it above the next version.
Okay. So this should be 3 plus 1 plus 1?
Yep, that's 5. And then the difficulty is 3. Or the threat dice is 3.
You're better than me.
Is everything okay, Ray?
Yeah, I was having...
Seriously? Oh my god, you guys have the worst luck. I have my groups rolling like super high all the time and start wondering if my game's too easy, and now you guys are rolling -1s each time. Okay. In an advanced version of this and what we call at home, that would be 1 miss. So that increases my complications by 1. Maybe I should spend some of this now. No, I'm going to make this easier, I think.
I think our enemies are going to see us coming, guys.
Yeah, I think they might see you coming. I'm actually going to I'm going to spend this now. Okay, and we're going to do a little encounter scene, and then you can tell me... So, you're reaching out to your contacts in the CMA. And, you're doing it via the data flow. And so you've got your reaching out, you've been chatting with a couple different people, asking about the local system in Star City and that sort of thing. When you get contacted by Officer Helena of the Weston Patrol Group. She sends you a message. And it pops up going, basically asking who you are and being very demanding. You get a series of messages like, she doesn't necessarily know who you are right away. It's like, user, we have noticed your interest in our local system. How may I help you? And you notice a trace you're being traced directly on the data flow.
Can I block the trace at all?
Yes, you can attempt to block the trace. So this is a interface task as well because it's defensive. If you were trying to trace them, it would be inscription. That's like your programming skill. So your interface, who are we talking about? Zerlito, yes. Open the wrong character sheet. Okay, interface. Oh, you're awesome at this. You have 2 whole dice. Okay, so press perform task again. 2 dice.
So I get 2 dice?
And then you get to use your link. You don't have to calibrate it for anything, so you get 1 die from that, and you have...
wait, I think he's Resoner.
Who is this? I thought this was Zerlito doing...
No, it's Resoner. Stopping the...
If he can, I mean...
No, it basically has to be the person who was doing the political task before.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, sorry.
You guys should try to do the whole naming your things thing. It worked for everybody else. How'd you guys do that? Carter, Brian, how'd you guys do that?
If you go into your settings, under my settings, there's display name, and you can change that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, because we're all getting very confused. Yes, let's do that. I will also do that, just to join in.
Yeah, I'm new to
Yep.
Roll20, so it's kind
You know, after this game, I'm gonna have 666 hours on Roll20, and I'm still learning things all the time, so no trouble.
I should totally talk to you, man. Do you use Pro at all?
No, I've never used Pro. I use it so much, this service so much, but never paid for it.
Look at that, Roll20 people. Send him some info. Send him a 1-month Pro contract, maybe.
or just extort me, threaten me, something like that.
Yeah. Just choke his internet.
What I can get, the most valuable thing about it would be the access to the API, right?
Yeah, that's mostly what it is. And I haven't gotten to use the API yet, because I spend most of my time futzing around with the HTML to make this character sheet. Which is a lot harder than you'd think. Okay, so let's roll those dice. Okay, so Zerlito, you were doing a politic task. Right. And then you got interrupted by being traced. Because you were talking to your contacts out in your associations, and someone noticed your conversations. And so you're trying to block them.
Yes, I'm going to ignore the messages and try and block them, I guess.
Yes. So you're desperately trying to block a trace that they're running on you.
What do I use for that?
You're going to use your interface skill. Interface is pretty much your standard computer use kind of skill. Inscription is your programming skill. It's called inscription because the technology basically is space-time inscribing of software right on space-time, which is anchored to like this thing called a hyperdiamond. I'll explain that later maybe. But anyways, that's why it's called inscription. And so use your interface because it's defensive rather than attacking someone, and your link. Right. So it gives you a total of 2 plus 3 dice. And it is a difficulty of 3 as well. Although it doesn't have to be because this is an encounter.
Yay!
Hey!
Did you succeed?
Yeah.
Finally, a win!
Okay, so that's a partial. Okay, so you managed to block. What are you most trying to keep them from learning? Who you are, where you are, or what you're trying to learn, or like your ship name, like.
Do we have some sort of chain of command in this ship?
You can decide on that yourselves and determine who's your captain if you have one. You don't have to. you can decide that you're the captain right now and see how that goes over.
Who's like the intel guy, like or person? Who's
What?
the person? Would it be Resner, who's the best at research and all that stuff?
Resner is your researcher.
I am.
Do I have time to talk to him in this?
Yes, you could quickly send him a message and such. It's basically you were just using it like running Skype, so you're kind of ambushed out of nowhere with a data flow task that you didn't expect, right? So you're basically Skyping to your contacts using Facebook, and all of a sudden you're like, the AI pops up and going, "You're being traced. You're being traced," and so you're like, stop that!
I send up a quick message to Umadin and ask him what I should do. Sorry, Resner 8.
Yes, you're.
Yes.
What should I do? We're being traced right now, and I don't know what's happening.
Well, they don't know who we are, really. They're trying to figure out, and we haven't really given too much on what we're looking for, just basic information. I say... Now, where are we exactly?
Okay, so you probably would have done this when you just folded into the system. So right now you're orbiting a yellow star, and the pilot... no one played him. We'll have to give someone else a grappler. Anyways, one of you, whoever's got the best piloting skill probably, is flying the ship. So Charlie's flying the ship, and she's up there, and it takes quite a bit of time. So you're spending this time doing a bunch of research, and you're contacting any contacts you might have in the local system, and pretty much trying to evaluate the political stuff. So you're on your Spacebook or your whatever sort of system like that, trying to figure everything out. And you get traced, and Resner 8 is saying...
Yes, where we are isn't that important. I say block who we are.
Okay. So you managed to block your personal identity and the name of your ship, but they pretty much know everything you're talking about, know you're in system, and know that you're basically going to be arriving in the next few days.
Is it possible for me to inquire with that signature or whatever about something else completely different in order to try and throw them off?
Well, that's kind of, you mean all the stuff you've been doing is pretty much you're trying to do there. So now, do you want to compensate to actually learn stuff? That's what you're kind of talking about right now, is you're going to compensate. You're going to add 3 points to the reserve, because right now you have no points in the reserve, and add 3 points to me to complications.
No, I was thinking more about, like, just giving them a red herring, like searching about something that has nothing to do with what we want to do.
Yeah, I think what he was saying before is right. We've already been doing that. Like, it's implied in the role.
Yeah,
that's what your task was. That's what you rolled one success on, is basically trying to confuse them. And you basically managed to get to a point where you could just confuse them about either what you're doing and where you are and the fact that you're coming, or who you are. And you decided to keep your identity secret because you got a partial success. It's kind of like the choice thing in like Dungeon World.
Right.
So I'm going to just leave that at that and not try to find out anymore. Just go in blind, see what happens.
Okay, so you're not going to add anything to the complications or to your reserve?
No.
Okay. Guy doesn't like experience points. No RV for you. Okay, we got 2 more characters. What do they want to do? Now, this could be any place or time, but I'm just saying Zerlito and probably Resner 8 both did their tasks in system while they're orbiting the star over the couple days it would take to fly through the system.
Would it make sense for me to like reach out to Montar loyalists who are on Verona?
Yeah, you could totally do that. That would be politic for sure. You guys are very much on the politics skill today.
I don't know if I'm good at... I don't know.
Actually, I think you might be good at that, Charlie. Charlie is pretty good at that.
Bluff his way through.
3.
That is very weird. I'm going to switch your... I don't know how this happened, but I'm switching... You shouldn't have had Golden Duchies as your 2. You should have had that in CMA. It makes no sense for your character to... I mean, you're from the UEN, you wouldn't have that. So,
Okay, so 2 from politics, 1 from augment,
yeah, your skills...
2 from associations.
Yeah, just give me half a second, because your associations are actually screwed up somehow.
I didn't do it, I promise.
Sure you did. No, I did it. I got finished the sheet last night, so you know how that works.
I'd have 5 in everything if I did it.
Somebody doesn't like... Okay, so CMA Association... Where is... It doesn't put these in any order. I don't know if you've ever looked at this attributes list, but it's total random order.
Oh yeah, it's chaos.
Yeah, this should be behind the scenes. I don't know why they even show this to anybody. And the fact you can't unclick a... There it is. You can't unclick something on the character sheet if it's a radial button is really annoying also. Okay, so you should actually have UEN at 2 and CMA at 1. And you have to reopen it to fix those buttons. Okay, so you have 1 for CMA to use, and 2 for your training in politics, and 1 for your augmentation. Humans are good at this sort of thing.
And he could he use a bond or?
And
no,
you can increase your bond, which is lower than other people's because you actually work for basically your home society.
Okay. So
And
just click that up 1 or?
Yeah, click up 1 on your bond. Make it 3.
Alright, so I'm rolling 5.
And the difficulty is 3. Or the threat dice. There are 3 threat dice.
Man.
Man, you guys are rolling terrible. Okay, so you managed to reach out a little bit, and you know they exist. They don't really give you the light of day unless you want to compensate for that and add to the reserve. Because right now you pretty much have enough to do the contract the way it is, but you're not going to get a lot of RVs out of it. Actually, you're going to come in at, yeah, pretty low.
Yeah, no, let's compensate.
Okay, so I'm adding 3 to this, making that 5, and don't press enter because
Roll20 doesn't like us very much today.
it does not, and that will make this 6 because you're going all the way, right? Okay. Okay, so you reach out to some loyalists and stuff. What are you trying to find out?
They should know the local kind of lay of the land better than us. How to, get around unnoticed. How to avoid, notice.
Okay, so they basically, I'm going to show you this. They show you a picture. They show you, basically send you a map of Star City, and kind of explain some stuff on it. So you're talking to. He's got some handle that's probably obviously not his real name. It looks like it's a blower. It's a Flats Dude 27 or something. And Flats Dude 27 basically gives you the lay of the land. So he explains what the place looks like. So he starts with the port. The port is basically based around a space elevator. It's a large building, offices. It used to actually be part of the palace of the Montar family, and that's now like basically the national building. So that's basically, it's all government buildings and offices and stuff at the port. Wharftown District is probably where you'll land because you do know that the Montars want you on the ground, just in case. And so I've already put the landing spot that you have in Wharftown District. This is basically a large area of warehouses and that sort of thing. The strip is... Hey, PW.
Yo.
I'm getting lots of echo from you, and you're a bit late.
Yes, sir.
I'll get back to you in just a second. Let's just finish this. Okay, so the strip, it's a big strip. Cars aren't super common on any of the planets. They have taxis and that sort of thing. He tells you about that. You know, the Montars actually already asked you to paint your Graveler a certain way and to use a specific trailer because it will kind of blend in that way as a basically a industrial transport. That's as close as it'd go. You could do extra work and stuff to blend in something else if you really wanted, but that's fine. So they tell you about the strip. He sends you some pictures. It's pretty much it's like the Vegas Strip meets any tourist town. It's pretty rough. If you're looking at this once Antonia's aboard, which you probably aren't, or you bring this up, she'd probably be very sad to see this. This is a Parkland district. It's kind of the wealthier, kind of middle class area. There's a university district, which is pretty much a bunch of tech schools and stuff. The warehouse district up at the top. It's a warehouse district. It's full of warehouses. It's where they do most of the shipping. Anything that isn't going directly to the port is probably stored there. There's Little Italy. That's where most of the Italian group people live. The Flats is kind of a poor neighborhood. And then there's the Villa District, which is actually the old Montar Villa, like where they used to live, turned into different residences. Anyway, so police situation and stuff. That's what you actually wanted to know, but it doesn't make much sense without this. Anyway, so police situation. House Alinus runs the government and the police. They have a pretty good net on things. They run patrols. They have some sense. They do some sensor scans. Most of the things you can kind of get away with, but pretty much easiest. Just try to don't come up on it. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. You're trying to figure out how to get away from the cops, what the cops look like, what type of groups they go in. Is that the sort of thing? Like what?
Yeah, I mean,
I
think ideally we're just hoping to go unnoticed, right? So just the best way to...
It's pretty easy to go. There's lots of foreigners here. It's called Star City for a reason. They're expecting people to be around. A lot of the people will stay on the port and the strip. You have external access. Anybody who is Wharftown District always tends to get furlough access, and that's furlough access means you're allowed to go almost anywhere. If you go into the Villa District, you'll be noticed, especially in your kind of industrial-looking Graveler. If you updated it, maybe did a little bit of body work, you could switch it into being a more of like a limo look, but that'd be like a project unto itself. But then you'd be noticed in the Wharftown or Warehouse District. So,
where are we supposed to meet the Dawn?
You know you're supposed to. You've been told basically with your contract that you're meeting in the Warehouse District. You haven't been given the exact location yet. So your vehicle's all set up for that sort of thing. Did I just lose Ray again? Oh my god. Oh, good times. Anyways, so pretty much he gives you speed limit information. Anytime when you need an advantage on staying undercover, you have that based on this roll. Because you just know what's going on. You know what the police vehicles look like? They're like large kind of square looking trucks. Some of them can move in the sky. If you fly around, people will notice you. Nobody flies around. People stay street side, and most people walk everywhere or moved by different types of transport. And there's a lot of cabs and limos and transport vehicles like your own. So, or like you've made your Graveler look. So, you should be able to go unnoticed if you just drive around in that and don't break too many rules. Okay. Hey, PW.
Yo. So I'm sorry that I'm late.
Okay, do you still want to jump in, or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm just glad that we actually have PreGen characters.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw. I guess you're playing Nash. So I press show to players. Everybody just saw it.
Yeah, I'm pilot. Mm.
Yeah, great. So you're gonna be driving the Graveler. So you're currently you were sleeping and Charlie was flying for you. You're a Cordon, basically a raptor, a winged raptor with arm wings. You like your food well aged. Let's put it that way. You're a Detrivore.
So I'm like one of those scavenger type people.
Yeah, your people used to run the Crimson Quadrant before you were conquered by the Utmar, the United Martian and Triax Republic, who now form the Crimson Imperium. Anyways, you personally were a soldier, but were a member during the war last, anyways, of the flotilla, which is basically a big fleet of ships that are kind of flying around. And we lost Ray. Not sure if he's coming back. Maybe there's a top number on this. I don't know. Okay, so who hasn't gone yet? Who hasn't done something?
I haven't.
Okay, Carter. Okay, so what we're doing right now, PW, I'll call you Nash, unless you change your character name. Can you add that to your name so we can see?
Sure.
What we're doing right now is we're doing a project. We're doing the negotiation project. We're basically trying to build up, now let's go back to that page. We're trying to build up reserve so you guys get more experience points. You get more RV, which is like a money experience point kind of deal. And so you could add other obligations to make you more money, or you can just increase their value up to 300 per. Anyways, Carter, do you have a good idea, something that your character would do?
No, actually, I'm sorry if I'm going about this the wrong way. But I'm wondering if there's any way. We're not rolling very well, so I'm just wondering if there's any way I could get maybe something good, like my geosciences, and use that some way to give us.
Yeah, well, you could play, especially new players. I almost push this too much. I had a point where everybody was just like, well, it's censored, so you have to do it. No, you guys can do your own tasks. But yes, of course, you should use your best tasks when you can. So let's look at you. You're Carter Cade, and you're an astronavigator. So gravity mechanics, you're excellent at that. You're excellent at mechanics. Not sure how helpful that would be.
Yeah.
Unless we're trying to outfit our ride.
Yeah.
That's right. Put
Yeah.
the nitrous in case we need to.
Well, you can't modify it. That'd be a whole other project. But you could. We could talk. All that how it looked could be based on your mechatronics task. So maybe you want to make it blend and make it look just like something that's around. Not very good at inscription, so giving it fake ID isn't something you can do easily. Geosciences is something you can do. You have 4 in that as well.
Well, actually, if
you could analyze the planet or something. I don't know how helpful that would be.
Nah, it's if we want to make the Graveler into like a civilian-looking vehicle, and that'll be helpful. I can try that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is kind of part of the negotiation. You're like, oh, we can do that, so you don't have to pay for it or anything like that. And I'll kind of, yeah, it's expertise, skill, and kind of, sure. Geosciences would also let you analyze the materials that Antonia is bringing aboard.
Oh.
For a trade. I forgot about that. See, bringing mineral samples. That's geosciences.
I'm guessing the mineral samples are going to be quite illegal.
The people trading it are the illegal ones, so it could just be ordinary But yeah, if you roll good on that and get any information on that, I would give you all sorts of stuff about the mineral trade in general, that sort of thing. So that is a good choice. Either way works. You have your vehicle, it's basic, it will get around. I would do the mineral thing, might be a better choice.
Okay,
give you
sure.
more useful info and more. Okay, so you would be using your geosciences. Let's say that you're actually doing this once she's aboard. So you're actually using the scanner. It's the same as if you use the link. So you get a total of 3 from your training, 1 from your expertise. That's 4. And you don't need to add anything because you're standing right next to the boxes. As Antonia brought them aboard, that would be 5 dice. So perform task, that's 5
Well, give us something good.
task dice and 3 threat dice.
Don't worry, guys. I'm the best engineer you've ever had. Here goes.
I mean, it doesn't
I'll partial.
say too much because
There we
you're the only engineer we have.
Listen, and there's a whole past that hasn't been explored. Don't worry about it.
There you go. Okay, so you get 2 successes. That is good times. Okay, so do you want to leave it up partial or compensate it up?
Man, I'm all about compensations and complications and whatnot. So yeah.
You're saying you overcompensate. Got it. Okay, so that goes to 9 then, and this
It's gonna come and bite us in the ass later on.
goes to 6. Oh, well, these are great dice. I love having complications for you. I wanted to have a resource just for this that I was going to do, but I did not do that. Okay, so, and you also get 1 task from PW. Still, so. Something's ringing.
Yeah, I'm hearing a phone or something.
Okay, so you guys are picking up Antonia at this moon. I will show you where. Let's pull out Weston System. So you travel for a couple days. I'm not going to make you roll all that because you're staying off and doing it the easy way. And you're basically picking them up at Cremona, Silicate Dwarf. They mine on Cremona radioactive materials. And she's bringing aboard 50 tons of radioactive materials to show Don Sarnio what they can bring in, what they can ship.
Anybody ever wanted a 3rd arm? Now's the time.
Okay, so these materials are used for a whole variety of things. Everything from, lighting systems to hybrid generators to archaic generators. Mostly energy use, obviously, paint, whole variety of things like that. The trade on these is very, very tight. The Montars have always dealt with this. That's why they could withdraw to Cremona, is because they were running this moon before. House Lorenzo doesn't have a lot of this coming in, and supposedly Don Sarnio might have an alliance with them because he's planning on integrating it with their minerals so that it looks like it's coming from them. So basically to increase their profits. They buy them from Montars, increase their profits, and make it so they can, try to take out Alonso and kind of tow Montar along. You kind of find this sort of info out, and you just do a general science task, figuring out all the trades. That's basically your whole figuring out the trades of all the minerals in the system. So you see they're coming from Portia, and Portia's doing this, and you can make those kind of conclusions.
Okay.
Okay. Nash.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so where are you anyways?
I assume that I'm with the ship.
No, I meant in real life. We don't know who you are. You're a Warhammer character from the looks of it. Do you have a camera?
Yes, I do. I was actually seeing if I could tweak this the entire time. I am from West Texas. I'm actually by El Paso, if y'all know where that is from.
Oh, okay. Got another one. A couple people from down there. Yeah, so what, you got on the time zone issue?
To be honest with you, I woke up and then I fell back asleep.
Okay.
and then I woke up again, and I this time I was able to stay awake and come on.
Okie dokie. Okay, so what you're doing here is basically you're helping out the negotiation on this contract sheet that you guys are looking at. I was just telling you all about it without bringing you to the Weston system. Oh well. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so you're trying to increase this reserve to increase these numbers so you can make more monies. Or add anything else to it. Every crew member gets to do one task. So what sort of thing do you think you would have done? We had a research task. We've had an analysis of the materials being brought aboard. We've had a couple political tasks, trying to figure out this current situation. One was successful, one was a failure.
Well, I mean, considering that I'm a pilot, and I'm looking at my little score sheet here, I would assume that the only thing I could do right now would be to help the group with a politic. So, I don't know what my raptor arms are going to help.
Okay, so your politic is not your highest skill, but you're not great at this. You're not really what you would call a out of scene kind of fellow. Yeah, you could do a kind of a politic. You could, once we get into, you guys are doing a stopover at Cremona, we could say you spent some time socializing there if you want to use sophantology and try to get to know some of her people and find out more. Politic, just to find out more about Don Sarnio. Nobody's really asked about that specifically. Do you want to do that?
Sure. Who is Don? I assume Don Sarnio is the person who contracted?
No, Antonia Montar and the House Montar is the contract with. She's meeting with Don Sarnio. He's her contact who is going to be selling her goods on the legal, or filtering her goods into the legal system back to her old homeland.
So he's like the fence point of contact.
Yeah, he's the head of a mafia and he's making a big deal. So the way you do this is, do you have the perform task button showing?
Perform task button. I do now.
Okay, so click that.
Okay.
Okay, so the number of task dice is based on your skills and any other advantage you can gather. So that include your skill is 2 in politic. You don't have any augmentation, you don't have any expertise in this. And then you have 2 points in the Association of the Colonial Merchants Association, which is the society that's applicable here. So that's a total of 4 dice. Now you can increase your bond. Bond is like a borrow resource. The higher it gets, the more likely your farmer life will come and kick you in the butt. So you can increase that by 1 and add 1 more die to that if you want. Otherwise, you are rolling 4 dice versus 3 threat dice. So what do you think?
Let's see. So I'm rolling. I'm just looking at how everybody did theirs before.
No, press the perform task quick button on the quick bar.
So it's just 4, just total 4, not 4d10 or anything like that.
No, just put 4 in that box, and then when you click the next one, it's going to ask you for the number of threat dice, and that number is 3 because that's how difficult it is.
Okay.
And then press go, and it will roll the dice.
And 1 success.
Wow, this is extraordinary.
-1 success. Awesome.
Nothing ever goes
The raptor will stop speaking to people now. The raptor will go and find shiny things and eat dead things.
Okay, I am going to not hold this against you right now because I want to get into things. Because of all our Roll20 and craziness and dropping people.
Hates us today. That's it. He just hates us.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna go back to the ship, guys.
Do we want to bother compensating, or should we just leave it? We know everything we need to know. Let's do the reserve. Let's just do that. Okay. Okay. So
Raptor can't talk to people.
You can add
Raptor wants to
reserve.
go back home.
You guys are seeing the contract, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you can add reserve to any of these obligations, and if you finish those, then you get these monies. You see stipulations; those are like sub obligations. They can never have a greater value than the core obligation that they're supporting. So every reserve you add increases the residual value you make by 100.
Oh, kitty.
So, you have 9 points. Does anybody want to do this, or do they want me to do it?
I'm not clear on what it is.
So you're taking these 9 points, and you're distributing them amongst these 5 obligations that you see on the top. You can keep some for later negotiations, because you can add addendums to your contract.
So I guess that's a good thing to have the reserve.
Yeah, so I would leave 3 in the reserve and move 6 down into here. So I'll do it. I'll show you because there's confusion and time. So so put 2 in there and we'll increase this to 300. It works like that. So this is a system that allows you to have control over your contract. You can say what's most important. You can add new obligations. Like if you're like, protect this person, or also add this, or add guys to it. Like if you wanted to buy, right now you have a local network contract that you negotiated for. It costs you 50. You could add another one of these, and that will cost you negative 100. So it gives you narrative control over the game. So protecting her, you guys think that's a perfectly fine thing to do? I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So add 2 there, so that's 4 gone. Let's do this like this now. So that's
And then one more.
5 out of 9. And then we can spend 2 more. Did you want to add to ensuring she isn't caught, or Don Sarnio increase? Or you can add more to those core ones that we just did.
Could put
I would
one
think.
in each.
Yeah, that's a good thing we could do.
What do you think?
Anybody else? Opinions? Thoughts?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. You can add 1 to here. And that makes this 400. And that makes this remaining with 4. We can reduce that to 3 by adding 1 to make sure she's not caught. It's kind of hard to protect her if she's caught. But let's not double down on that Dawn, because who knows what that guy's going to be like, right?
I mean, they probably know who he is.
Yeah, you guys had a little information. He runs like a mafia that's kind of on the side of the Grand House Lonarno. Okay, which is one of the grand houses in the politics of the world. Okay, cool. So you got 3 left. You can increase that number with addendums. And we have a total value that we'll be writing down at the end, but we won't bother with that right now. Let's get to the game. Okay.